Welcome everyone to the Emergent Essence Dynamics webinar number 9. It's April 15th and our theme is Core Vitality and Resilient Well-Being. Thank you all for joining live, and also thank you those who are taking the time to listen to the recording. So very apropos for right now, it's really important to be in touch with our basic life force, and that feeds our resilience, and the resilience feeds our vitality. So the two go back and forth between each other. Otherwise, we could be depleting our immune systems and our vitality of our whole being if we continually live in stress, anxiety, and fear. So this webinar is how to get in touch with your core essence, which is the source of your resilience and vitality and well-being, and that will neutralize a lot of stress and fear, and it'll help you come back to critical thinking and sort things out so that you are thinking clearly, creatively, with agility, as opposed to feeling driven by circumstances or driven by being triggered or reactivity. So this is a way to get around those things, because we are constantly bombarded with mixed messages, confusion. We have our own fears, that's all natural, but it's we always have the choice to buy into it or come back to a center point of resilience and then proceed with our actions. So that's basically what this is about, and I'm going to give you very specific steps and practical tools to build resilience, and how to take any experience or energy and distill it down to its pure essence and link that to your well-being and vitality. How you guys doing with that? How's that sound? You can always give me a thumbs up if it's okay. If you have no, I'll always ask for comments, etc. And feel free to jump in with questions. I thank you all for muting in case you have background noise. That's great, but feel free to unmute and jump in at any time. I don't mind being interrupted with comments, questions, or anything otherwise. And feel free to disagree at times too. So what are we discovering today specifically? We're going to get a brief overview of how resilience, vital energy, and essence all work together to feed our well-being and creativity. And I'm going to give you a simple method to capture the pure vitality of any energy or experience that you encounter, regardless if it appears to be positive or negative. This is not about, you don't need positive experiences to access essence or vitality. You can, and I'm saying if it appears to be positive or negative, okay? Because it's what we put upon the experience or the energy that's going to, we're going to judge or decide if that's positive or negative. That's just the outward expression of the experience or the energy or the behavior that we see, or even of the person. We can peel back the layers into what's the pure essence or the pure intention behind it. And that has nothing to do with positive or negative. It has to do with just pure life force. So I'll show you how you can peel that back, all right? So this includes, if you're experiencing fear or resistance, how do you sort through the possible negativities that can result from it, and just get into what's life affirming about that energy, okay? And then once you've captured that energy, I'm going to give you tips on how to circulate that throughout your system, and how you can sustain resilience on a daily basis by working with these techniques, okay? Any questions or anything you would like to add? And also, you know, what originally attracted you to the webinar? What interested you? So please tell me if there's anything else extra that you'd like to know. Otherwise, if this is looking pretty thorough and okay, just give me a thumbs up and I'll proceed. Okay. All right. My God, you guys are pretty quiet today. Well, that's fine. I can move through this faster. All right. Oh, yes. And at the end, we'll give an overview of the 10 essential qualities, because when we take any energy, distill it to its essence, there are 4 main essential qualities, but then they can diversify into 10. And that I will cover at the very end. So That means we may go a little overtime for that, and I'm going to make that a separate recording as well. Okay. So I think most of you are already familiar with EED, Emergent Essence Dynamics, what it is and what it does. But for those listening to the recording, because there are so many people that were signing up for the webinar, I'll briefly go through it. So everything is based upon relationship. Everything is in relationship. And everything works in cycles. Our experiences, our thinking, our beliefs, everything is working in cycles. And so our relationships, ourselves, our situations, they follow a unique fractal pattern, meaning a very basic pattern that's occurring on the smallest and the largest scale, on all scales. And it is the pattern that is driving both the person and the issue. So when we can look at the pattern, it's not that then we can start shifting the pattern, and that will shift both the person and the issue. So what Emergent Essence Dynamics is it's actually a universal model that fits under many, many, many disciplines, and it's focused on pinpointing the fundamental patterns that are driving human dynamics. So this is especially applicable for coaching, leadership, mediation, facilitation, healing, personal well-being, and much, much more. Even into sales and dating and talking people up in a bar. This all works, okay? So there's three basic things we're doing with EED in order to work with those fundamental patterns. First, we build a baseline of resilience. We want to get ourselves and the people we're working with in a foundation of resilience before we transform anything. If we move into transformation too fast and there isn't a resilient base, then we risk that the transformation may be false or that it may not be sustainable because it was fear-based in the first place. When we focus on resilience first, we're neutralizing most fear and resistance. And whatever fear or resistance remains is very relevant because it is relevant to the pattern. How do we discover the pattern? It's by focusing on relationship dynamics. What are we in relationship with? How are we acting and behaving? And it is those actions and behaviors that reveal the patterns. It is not about what we say, it's about what we do. So it's important to get people acting and reacting. Everything is based on cause and effect with EED. And so if you're a coach or a facilitator or a leader, you want to be able to provoke action and reaction as opposed to just get people talking. Once we've got resilience and we start to recognize the patterns, then we can start shifting the patterns in a resilient space. When we're in a resilient space, we're more receptive, we are more open, we are more fluid, and therefore it is almost like we're in toggle mode and we can become anything we want because we are not so attached to these patterns. We can let them go and build new patterns according to a state of resilience, which is not based on fear. When we shift the pattern, a lot of things transform automatically. The person and many, many, many issues, because it's fractal based, it's going to affect many areas. And it is pretty spontaneous and it's organic and it is natural. Are there any questions there? Or does that all seem pretty clear and okay? All right. So in this webinar, we are focusing on basic resilience, how to capture it and cultivate it, how to build it, and then how to circulate it or use it. All right. So it's really important to define what exactly is resilience. So this is our core vitality, our basic essential life force, and that includes our innate will to live. Now, normally resilience will get activated when we are in extreme situations, when we're in crisis, or when things are crumbling and falling apart, or when we're threatened with something that is life or death, and our resilience will kick in. This, for example, could be like suddenly we found new strengths, or we're stronger than ever. It's we're in such a survival mode that we've pulled out actions and strengths we never knew we had. Or even, to be very basic, it's like you see somebody about to be hit by a car, suddenly you're running into the middle of the street, you're able to pick them up and carry them halfway down the block, and you never even knew you had the strength to pick up that person, all right? That is using your resilience, all right? So what we're saying here with emergent essence dynamics is you don't have to wait for those extreme situations in order to suddenly let that energy kick in. You can access this on a daily basis so that you are in a resilient state of mind all the time. And that will change the way you make your decisions and the way you act and behave. So when we come in contact with this essential life force, this gives us the ability to bounce back and rise from the ashes in any situation. Therefore, when we are in constant contact with our resilience, we are less threatened, or we are less able to be manipulated through fear and threat, because we know that we can constantly create. We can create from anything, everything, and nothing. Therefore, we're in a state where we feel like, yeah, you can take everything away from me. I'm still here. I can still create. Therefore, I'm less attached to things. I'm clinging less to things that I thought formed my identity. We'll look at that later. When we look at essential qualities, they are qualities that go beyond identity. Stop me if you have questions or you want to make comments. I do tend to go fast. So when we're in touch with our core vitality, our innate will to live, meaning we have our essential life force flowing through us. I mean, it's always there, but this is when we're conscious of it. When we're conscious of our ability to bounce back, we can rise from the ashes. Then we're in touch with our essence. This is a permanent, timeless, and unconditional place. It's like infinite awareness. It is our all potential. This is why it goes beyond our identity. There are no limits here. Now, we're not necessarily living at this level all the time. That's like the backdrop to the world we live in. This is the source we draw from, okay? We do not live constantly in bliss, saying, yeah, everything is okay, I'm all potential, therefore I don't need to create anything because I am everything. That's not the world we live in. But we do have that, let's say, a higher or more permanent state of consciousness within us that we can access. And many times we get disconnected from it, and that's where fear kicks in, all right? Because fear reminds us that, oh, I'm mortal, I can get hurt. Yes, we can get physically hurt, but there is a part of us that is completely energetic, cannot be destroyed, right? Energy cannot be created nor destroyed, and that's what we are in pure consciousness. Maybe that's going a little too far, too deep in the esoteric realm, but that's the conversation that Essence opens. So when we are in touch with that essence and our resilience, it enables us to be adaptable, creative, flexible, and agile because we are less driven by fear and threat. So that is a definition of resilience, a little longer definition of resilience. So then what is vital energy? What does that have to do with resilience? So this has to do with using the life force and using energies around us. So we use energy to nurture and replenish and invigorate our well-being. All right, so we can, what I'm going to show you is you can take any energy and link it back to your well-being so it is nurturing and replenishing and invigorating, as opposed to some kind of a energy suck, or being in a situation that sucks all your energy, or being in a situation where you give all your energy away and there's no return, okay? So speaking of that, energy is moving in constant cycles of send and receive, send and receive. It is constantly moving, constantly flowing. So it is very important that we take in energy and that we give it out. And when we're giving away our energy or radiating energy, we must be sure that we're cycling that back into ourselves so that we are replenishing our well-being. Otherwise, we're going to experience burnout or depletion. There are a lot of very generous people out there that work very hard, and they're expending all this energy, but they forget to cycle it back onto themselves. Even if they get joy and pleasure out of their work, they forget to let that joy affect them back, all right? Or that passion to affect them back. So this is very, very important that when you're sending energy, be sure to be receiving it back. And that's what can create a nice cycle of perpetual motion with energy. I'm going to stop there, pause. Any questions or anything you want to clarify, or what are you taking from this so far? What are you understanding or absorbing, or even what's being inspired? Lots of questions. So let's hear from you for a bit. I'd love to hear from you. Anything? Yeah, Irina.
Yes, it resonates a lot with me. And since now you are the only one that speaks clearly about the essence, what we really are, this energy that is indestructible.
Right.
And I experienced that because I had the moment in the beginning when, not exactly in the beginning, but here is a very depressed zone, and I felt really, wow, what will happen now?
Mm-hmm.
People are dying for starvation, not for the virus, and this is crazy.
Right.
And
I just want to say to those listening that Irene is in Italy, and you've been under quarantine for almost 2 months now. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, just to contextualize, because could sound strange, but it's happening. And well, it's kind of, I felt traumatized by that fact.
Right.
And immediately I say, now this is the moment that I have to think about myself, because I will not be capable to help anyone if I feel so strongly touched. And I came back to this essence, and I decided to take 5 days of rest and be with myself and recharge my energy, because in this moment, as you feel, Troy, I feel that there is a lot of energy and needs to change. And who is more sensitive like us can feel it and senses, and we have to handle it by having a strong practice of self-care.
And I'll add to that, not just self-care, but self-knowing and self-awareness, so that you're not just taking on a bunch of garbage with no filter, right? That you're able to know yourself so well at your core, you can say yes to this, no to that, and that's not coming from fear or defensiveness, okay?
No,
I just want to add that. That's what this is about. Yeah, go ahead. Continue.
Yes, it's something that came from another space. And as you said, there's no attachment, just self-care and awareness. I need this in this moment.
Yeah, and it's highly replenishing once we access it, and it is quite easy to access. So it's actually so simple that we don't see it. Okay, that's what I want to say, right? Fear is so distracting. And in a way, we have this attraction to it, and because there's a drama, it keeps us busy. Our egos are very attracted to fear because our egos are so repelled by the idea of obliteration, non-existence. It continually is hardwired to survive. I mean, we need the ego because it drives us forward to live and survive. That's its impetus to create. However, essence is in fact the opposite. Because it's all potential, it can withstand everything and anything. It can just stay in a state of calm and go nowhere. It doesn't need to be anything. It doesn't need to do anything. But that's not going to activate our ability to create and move. So in fact, what we're teaching with emergent essence dynamics is how do you reconcile both together? So you have a healthy relationship to your environment. You can respond to dangers, but you're not so overwhelmed and triggered and shut down. by your environment. Does that make sense what I'm saying? You stay in resilient relationship with everything, and it's not about being all zenned out, kumbaya, and, you know, okay, I'm going to make friends with the tiger. No, the tiger is dangerous and charging at you, gnashing its teeth. I mean, you got to react, you got to respond, and you can
Yes,
respond brilliantly. Do you understand? As
yes,
opposed to fearfully. And in this 21st century, we're responding to so many things that actually are more fantasy based than reality based. We are no longer living in this jungle, but it is a jungle to our mind, and our mind is still acting like there are tigers everywhere. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
absolutely, absolutely. There are many moments in my life that I think people are completely hallucinating.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
And
the more we are acquainted with awareness, the less we are attracted from this hallucination.
right. And so to bring it back onto to theme here, I know we could go on and on, but it's that what is that central compass point within ourselves to be able to make those judgments, discernments, decisions. It's not according to what so-and-so tells me, my mom tells me, the media tells me, my teachers tell me. No, this is an innate knowing. And when we are in touch with our own essence, there is with that an innate knowing, because we're connected to all potential, all right? And infinite awareness. So we use that as our compass point. And then that's a level beneath our belief systems. Our belief systems are acquired, and they can be changed and rewired. Source is our innate divinity, our divine spark of permanence and timelessness. It's that level of energy, infinite energy, or limitless energy. Or if you want to think quantum physics, our body, you know, is the particle, but our essence is the wave, okay? That is experiencing everything beyond time and space, all right? So I know that moves esoteric again, but let's just, you know, put that out there, all right? So your essence is your central compass point, where you are back in touch with the divine spark of your humanity, okay? Just got to plug my computer in here. Okay, let's move on. So, all right, so we define vital energy. It's what's replenishing and invigorating me, linked to my well-being. Any energy can do that. So what will spark vital energy? Values. What do I value in life? All right. And I'm going to say that all of these things may be a superficial start, and that is fine, because what you're doing is when you connect with something like a value or your vision or a desire or any emotion, it's going to have a buildup of energy and resonance, and you're going to resonate with it. Okay. Even if you have an emotion of, oh, I hate that, there's still a resonance, okay? And then what I show you in the next slide is how do you distill that down? But first you need a spark. So, you know, that's pretty common. Values, visions, desires, emotions, that's pretty common for any kind of a coaching capacity or mediation or leadership or anything. And we all have these in our daily lives. We can also look at our own physical behavior or the behavior of someone else. How are they using their body, their posture, actions, facial expressions, anything. You can go more into the mental realm of a peak experience, a memory. You can even be in a perspective or switch into a new perspective. That's going to spark some energy. You can also look more on the resistance side, like a struggle. You can look at how you're dealing with a problem, or just general resistance, like I will not go there, I will not discuss that. No, okay, that's resistance. And there is much, much more. So really anything and everything we come into relationship with that is sparking a reaction is sparking energy, and we can convert that into vital energy, okay? Now, one more note. When dealing with struggles, problems, or resistance, remember Resistance is actually resilient energy. It's two sides of the same coin. In order to resist, we are using our resilience. The only difference is we may not notice our resilience when we are resisting something. So, for example, we're dealing with a problem. I'm so focused on the problem. I'm struggling with it. I'm fighting it. I'm tolerating it, but I want to move beyond it. When I'm so focused on the problem, I'm not noticing the energy I'm using to struggle, the energy I'm using to fight or to resist, or the energy I'm using to even tolerate it. So when we're tolerating a problem or we're struggling with a problem, we're actually engaged with our survivor self. It's our survivor self that's using resilient energy. So focus away from the problem. You can ask yourself, what am I doing? Oh, I'm sitting in the problem, stewing, worrying. I'm anxious, I'm not moving, I'm not taking action. Well, what you're doing is you're tolerating it. So then you can ask yourself, what enables me to tolerate this before coming to any solution? I'm still here, I'm not dead yet. So what keeps me alive while I'm still in the problem? That's going to switch over to resilient energy. Or I'm fighting it, I'm resisting it, I'm refusing. I say, no, I will not allow this. What is the strength I'm using in order to fight, in order to resist? Or what is the determination I'm so connected to that keeps me fighting? That is resilient energy. Is that clear, this distinction I'm making? To focus away from the problem and look at the energy you're using now while you're in relationship with the problem or the resistance. Is that quite clear, or does that spark anything for you? How are you guys doing with this information? Yeah. Irena, you wanted to add something? Yeah.
Yes, because by listening to you, I recall some of my experience, different experience when I was resisting. And I noticed that there are different reasons why we resist. It's not always the same energy.
No, I had to shut my window because there was background noise, but not always the same energy. And in other webinars, we looked at what are the behaviors of resistance. We can fight, we can flee, we can search for something else, we can cling, and we can mix a bunch of different energies together, and we can go up and down on a roller coaster. All you need to do is capture one, focus on one, and then start. And in the next slide, I'll show you how you work.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense how you explain that. Because as coaches, we have to we can use this and to help the person to transform from this energy to a resilience energy.
Yes, and the first step to entering a resilient energy is acceptance. We've also looked at that in previous webinars, that basic acceptance of what is happening. I'm fighting, or I'm a coach, I'm working with a client, and they're fighting themselves, or they're even fighting me. So instead of me, getting all concerned and confused, oh my God, I'm a coach and they're hiring me and now they're fighting me. What do? They're fighting me. What's really fascinating here is they're using an energy to fight, and it's that energy that will be very useful for them. So let's focus on the fight energy that they're using. Okay, it is not about me, and there's nothing wrong with what they're doing. It's natural for them to want to fight. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So that's again why I'm saying don't make things into positive, negative. Just because they deflate or because they start rebelling, don't think that's a bad thing. Take it for what it is, and then look at the energy they're using. So if your client suddenly gets, they're all excited, oh, I want to do this, that, and the other, and then suddenly they deflate. Well, what's it like to deflate, and what's it like to stay there in the deflated place? oh, I don't like it. Let's, instead of rushing to change it, say, well, what enables you to still be here, to still be conscious, to still be alive, even when you're deflated? What keeps you here? And then it's going to switch into some kind of a resilient spark. All right. So never be afraid of that stuff. And it's quite easy to turn around. Okay. So once we get the spark, we want to build it up into active energy. We want to, it's like start running the motor, running the motor, running the motor. And what we want to do is first, this is very simplified. In the EED courses, we expand on this more, but I wanted to simplify this for you so it feels really practical, that you could try this tonight with anybody or yourself. Connect with the pure energy. If we go with the fight, oh, I'm fighting. All right, what's it like to just go, what's the pure energy you're experiencing? You might get a reaction like, oh, but I'm not supposed to fight. I'm supposed to be a nice person. I don't know what I'm doing. It's like, well, this is what's happening. You're making a fist and you're making a sound. Just focus on that. Don't focus on the judgment about what you're doing. Focus on the pure energy that's flowing through you right now. Okay, that's very, very, very important, that people are not making a judgment on what they're experiencing, but that they're focusing on just the pure energy, the experience, and the sensation of what is going on. I want to be very clear about that. So I mean, it's really easy when somebody gets a burst of laughter, they're smiling, they're feeling positive, you know, then great, connect with that pure energy. But if they have a burst of anger or sadness or even numbness, well, there's still an energy there. But you got to peel away the judgment around it and just focus on the pure energy and sensations, okay? Then once they connect, and that means it's like a back and forth send and receive. I'm connecting with this energy. It's affecting me. What's it like? What's the temperature, the movement of that? How is it, what is it giving me, for example? Then you want to start discovering what it is and expand it. So these could be questions like, well, what is it giving you? What are the possibilities here? What's the strength you're using now? What are the, I think I said, what are the possibilities? Then they can start to fully embody it and anchor it. And then once they're anchoring it, basically, a new layer may show up, a new spark. It's not a completely new energy, it's just another layer. Connect with that, discover it, expand it, embody it, anchor it. And you can repeat and repeat and repeat as things charge up, because what we're doing is we're working with this primal cycle, which I've gone over in past webinars, where you're charging up the energy, and then there would be a discharge, meaning they're going to get charged up so much that they're going to want to take action from that energy, okay? So basic questions you can ask. What are you experiencing right now? What's the pure energy? What is it like to connect with it? How does that connection feed back to you? Okay, and in the discover phase, it could be, what does this give you? What's the strength you're coming in contact with? How is it a resource? What's possible when using that resource or strength? Then you can move into an embodiment or an anchoring. Basic question. What is now reinforced in you? Where is that now in your body? What's the basic sensation? Give it a name. Give it a sound or a gesture or a color, something that encapsulates it, all right, so that they can access it again at any time. And as you repeat, again, this question, what does this give you? This is in relation to how does this feed their well-being? So that's another question you can ask intermittently. For this energy that you're experiencing, how does it feed back to you? What does it give you? How does it nurture you? How does it feed your well-being? That's what's making it vital, okay? Because It has a nurturing, invigorating aspect to it. And in the whole time, keep them in a state of enjoyment. So fascination and enjoyment. The strongest connection question you can ask is, what are you enjoying right now with this energy or with this experience? Are there any questions there? Probably for Tom.
I have a question.
Yes, Marin.
So in your example, the person is angry, right?
Mhm.
Or he or she wants to fight with a fist. Is the anger then the pure energy?
That's the beginning of it. It's like the front door. All right. And then we'll open that door. And as we connect to it without the judgment, just the pure energy and sensation, we'll discover more and more what's underneath it, what's underneath it. And what it might be is pure passion. It might be even turn into something like love, or like it'll start to purify itself more and more as it builds. It's not about getting more and more violent, okay? If we're attaching to what the anger is about, or we're attaching to the judgment of the anger, there's where it's going to spin out of control. Does this make sense? It's more of, okay, so you're angry, you're making the fist. What's it like to simply clench your fists and squeeze? What's the enjoyment you get from just squeezing your fists? They might even say, oh, this is giving me relief. I can express. What's it like to express? What's that kind of energy moving through you? So it can go in any way. Does this help answer your question there, Marin?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. So that's the key. Purity, without any attachment to judgment or story around it, okay? That needs to be cleanly separated out. It's just a pure energy spark that gets built up into an active energy that's going to bring high resonance. And when they have high resonance, they're going to want to move. Okay, that's the discharge we're talking about. But what we don't want to do is move them into action quickly. Before we move into action, we need to then dial this energy back into essence. So we're getting into this permanent, timeless place. And that's what I'm going to show you next here. So this is the second phase. First phase is take a spark and build it up into active energy. So again, the key connection is enjoyment as you do that. Now you want to dial back the active energy into a state of pure essence. What I will say is, what you're peeling away is the urge to act, but still keep them connected with the energy so that they get more and more into a pure state of being, receptivity, and relaxation, okay? And they will land in an essential quality as it gets more and more pure. So I'll tell you in a minute what I mean by that. So taking away the urge to act, you want being-oriented questions like, all right, what's it like to be in this energy or this quality? So let's say we started with anger. I feel a bit relief, but I got some adrenaline rush. I feel very passionate, confident, like a runner. I can run a marathon. I can run forever. I've got this endless energy. I can create. Move and create, move and create. What does that bring you? That brings me joy, invigoration. I'm life. Okay, great. What's it like to be this energy of life and creation and joy? And you'll get a response. Then ask what feels permanent and timeless here. Aha, so it's never going away. It's I am this energy. How does that feed your well-being? And what now feels unconditional in you, meaning it can't be stopped, it can't be taken away. It's just there permanently. And you can, and then with every response, you can just cycle through these questions again and again and again and again until there's no more impulse to act. So if I feel like I can create, The question would be, what's it like to be a creator? If I say, wow, you know, like I have all the trust in the world. Well, you could say, well, what is it that enables you to trust? What are you connected to right now that enables you to trust? And it'll just keep dropping and dropping and dropping until you arrive at an essential quality. And you want to anchor that into a body center. You want to localize it. There's a sensation. And that could be, you know, oh, it's warm and fuzzy, or it's electric, or it's very cool and refreshing, but it needs to be tangible, okay? An essential quality will be a state of being where it's like an I am state. I am. It's unconditional, nowhere to go, nothing to do, nothing to be. So trust is not an essential quality because it is dependent on things, okay? There's an essential quality that enables me to trust. If I'm feeling unconditional peace or love or unity with everything, that will enable me to trust. Or unlimited creativity. Those are the 4 essential qualities, by the way. Peace, love, unity, and limitlessness, all right? Like limitless creativity. Let me know if I'm going too fast there. Tell me if this is making sense, or give me a few comments or insights you're getting from this. This line of questioning is meant to dial back the person into a pure state of being, essential being. You don't want to feed the urge to act here. It's more of what's the being behind the urge. Questions, comments here? How is it so far?
Very good.
Okay. So EED works in loops. So to charge up the energy, use these 3 phases: connect, discover, embody. Connect, discover, embody. Connect, discover, embody. Like, what are you experiencing? What does this give you? What's now reinforced? And so now what are you experiencing? What does that give you? And now what's reinforced? And now what are you experiencing? You know, again, it's like repetitive questions. You can find variations on that. That's going to give you a buildup. Then, all right, so what's it like to be the energy now? What's permanent and timeless here? How does that feed your well-being? And now what's unconditional? Oh, that? So what's it like to be that quality or energy? And how is that permanent and timeless? How does that feed your well-being? Now what feels unconditional? Again, it's just running in circles, okay? And you'll arrive at a particular quality, essential quality, and then just say, well, where is the center of that? Where is that localized? Or where's the origin, point of origin? And what's the general sensation it gives you? So you want a body center, sensation, and quality. Then we can start circulating.
And I just had a comment. Yeah, Troy, this is really, really useful actually for me right now. You know, when I talk to many of my clients who are business owners, they've been locked up in their houses. And many of them, most of my clients, they don't have any internet business. So they've got factories which have been shut down. And so this is really useful because they're sitting and they're saying, now what do I do? And so I'm seeing now when I'm applying what you shared is like we're jumping to the action, like, okay, what do I do next? What do I do next? And there is nothing to do yet, or you know, that energy is not there. And so sometimes I'm seeing that, you know, they might listen to somebody, and you know, a lot of the you know, there are people out there who are saying, you know, just get the hustle on, get up, go off. And so there's this kind of maybe need to take action really quickly. But, and, you know, my instinct has been really for them for us to work through this emotion. So, you know, what is happening with the energy? But I think this is very, very useful, because what I'm hearing you say is that even in this, the energy of, you know, I don't know what to do, there is some resilience, there is some life force there. And you know, this seems to be like a really interesting tool to kind of explore that and say, okay, you know, what is coming out from here from this energy of, nothing, or from this energy of hopelessness, and at this time, this is what I'm hearing. And, it's been a very consistent message over the last, week or 2 weeks, which is that why do I wake up this in the morning and I feel horrible. And then some days they wake up and they're like, I had a really good day today because I was fully energized.
Mm-hmm.
But actually there's this, the energy is flowing, okay, but it's like we're not aware of it, and we don't have the tools yet to bring it to our consciousness, to be able to draw out what is useful from it, process it, anchor it, and I guess then use that energy. And I think that's what is driving this exhaustion. Even for myself, I feel this, sometimes, I didn't do anything in the day and I just feel exhausted at the end of the day. And I think it's just really about processing what is in that, I'm still awake. I still, did my, whatever things I had to do during the day. What is the resilience that's sitting in that, in those, that behavior or those activities that I can actually pull out. So, this is just really, really useful. So I just wanted to share that it's really
Excellent.
landing for me and it's making a lot of sense.
If I can comment then on a couple things you said there, because I mean, there's across the board, across the world, there's lots of reactions. I mean, this is a shift of reality, okay? And we're gonna initially want to resist it, or we feel like the rug got pulled out from us. We don't know how to function anymore because everything is now different. We can't go back to the old days. Like the whole reality has shifted. So let's say for that client that says, I gotta do something. I don't know what to do, but I gotta do something or else everything's gonna fall apart. Yeah. Okay. Now, that's already sparking up in energy. Now, if we focus on the story and say, oh yeah, you should listen to this advice or that advice, or here's the 7 steps of success, or no, go deeper and more basic into, okay, you want to do something. Okay, that's the desire, right? So, okay, you want to do it. What is it you want to do? Well, I want to, but I'm so frustrated. Okay, just stop there. You've got 2 energies now. You have a desire, you have a want, an urge, you have a frustration. Which energy is stronger right now? It's the want, it's the desire. But I'm so stressed. Wait, just focus on the desire for a second. What's it like to want to act? How does your body react to it? What body position do you take on, right? Get in that position and just focus on the sensation of that energy. Again, you have to isolate it, be really pure and simple. What's it like to connect with that? Oh, but I don't have time. Wait, it's happening now. Connect, connect, connect. What's the simple sensation? Ooh, it's like I've got electricity flowing through my veins and it's hot-blooded. Okay, warm or hot? It's hot. All right. Now, what do you discover in that? Well, it's giving me an adrenaline rush and it's like a wheel turning and turning. Well, let's embody that. Let's anchor that so you can return to it at any time. Now, what do you connect with? Discover, embody, okay? So, so then it might turn into something like I'm an engine that's constantly on. I'm a bulldozer. I've got to bulldoze my way through this, okay? Okay, now, before you go and bulldoze anything, what's it like to be the energy of the bulldozer? What's it like to be that, okay? It's a constant motion. It's a heavy, it's a force to be reckoned with. All right, what feels permanent and timeless there? Well, it's like, I can't be ever exhausted. How does that feed back to your well-being? Well, I mean, it gives me actually great joy and focus and clarity. Well, what feels unconditional in you right now? Well, I feel unstoppable. Okay, what's it like to be unstoppable? What's you see how you can just go, go, go. Instead of rushing to solutions, now once we ground into that, we can start circulating that energy within them, and they can do that on a daily basis. And that's a place of respite and repose. Instead of getting all caught up in, well, I didn't do anything today. I felt so depressed. I just wanted to, you know, throw the covers over my head, and I got all these emails waiting to be answered. Well, hold on, get back in touch with the bulldozer. Or it might even be more essential than that. It might just be, you know, limitless creativity or something. Get in touch with that. Let that be the first 5 minutes of your day. And I'll show you how to circulate that. Then go approach your emails. Then go make the phone calls. Then go sit down for a strategy session. Then go look at all the challenges you have to deal with for the day. But now you're not in a fear state. You are in a resilient state, right? And this is where you're feeling permanent, timeless, and unconditional and indestructible. That's where you're going to get your most creativity. If you're run by fear, you're run by limits. Does that make sense? And you're constantly being manipulated by the circumstances. How is it to hear that as an example? Or Niru, yeah.
That was very useful. Thank you. Yes.
Okay, yes. So it's so subtle, and we'll skim by that because we always want to jump into solution and transformation. We want to help. But that's so basic and simple that but it's so important, okay? It's a baseline of resilience before we transform anything. The other one with hopelessness. Oh, I feel so hopeless today. I've tried and tried and tried, and now they've extended the lockdown, and I don't know what to do. And it's like, oh, I got bills to pay. Okay. Well, are you dead yet? No. But you feel hopeless? Yes, I do. I'm so close to killing myself because I think I have to declare bankruptcy. Okay, but you're not yet. Now I have two choices. What's it like to tolerate the hopelessness? That will be resilient energy. Or what's it like to, it sounds like you're still determined to make your business survive because you haven't filed bankruptcy yet. So what's that spark of determination? Do you see, again, I have two paths. And there might even be more. Of course, that's darker. So, but still, okay, so you wake up in bed, you want to pull the covers over your head. Did you? Yeah, I sat there for an hour. Okay, what was it like to sit there for an hour? It was horrible. It was awful. I was going through so many nightmares. Well, what enabled you to go and witness the nightmares? That's a life force. Or, no, you know what I said? I said, get up and at least brush your teeth. Okay. What was that spark of energy that said, get up, brush your teeth? Again, that's determination. So it's so subtle and so small, we can miss it, but it's super important because a spark is a spark. It comes and goes so fast. Again, retrain your awareness as a coach or a leader to not buy into the big dramas, but go into these tiny sparks of potential. Does that make sense to you guys, what I'm saying? Okay. And that takes a little bit of, training of your own awareness, but it's so vitally important. Okay. So let's say we've captured something, that bulldozer energy. All right. So we want it, where is it located in your body? Where's the origin or the center of it? For example, if they say, I bulldoze out, 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 out. Great, do that. Now follow it backwards so it settles on an origin point. Oh, it's coming right from the center of my stomach. Okay, great. Now you got a body center. What's the sensation? It's cold and electric. All right. And what's the quality? Perpetual strength and motion. Okay, great. Let's go for that. So we've got a quality, a sensation, and a body center. Okay, if anyone needs to leave, because I'm hearing that it's 8 o'clock because they're now applauding in the street, that's fine. This is pretty much finished. And then if you wish to stay on to hear more about the essential qualities, I'll do that. And the essential qualities, the main essential qualities are peace, love, unity, or limitlessness. It's not something like trust or confidence or courage. You can still go a layer deeper. What enables you to feel courage? What enables you to feel trust? What are you connected to that enables you to feel those things? Usually they'll land somewhere like, wow, I feel really calm right now. Well, that will be peace. Or, wow, I feel like I can do anything. Well, that's limitlessness. Or, wow, I feel so connected to myself and everything around me. That's unity. Or, I feel so appreciative. I feel so blessed. I feel gratitude. Well, that could be love. Okay? Examples of what those qualities may sound like. What you're looking for is something that's self-perpetuating, self-generating, and unconditional. Again, that's why I say trust is not an essential quality, because it depends on something in order to exist. Or that it's either I trust or I don't trust. Okay, confidence or courageousness, I'm courageous. Well, that depends on, that means that I need to fear something, or that there's a danger. That means it's conditional. Okay, does that make sense what I'm saying? That it's unconditional. When I feel unity with everything, I don't need to fear anything, therefore there's no danger. Or if I'm limitless, there is no danger because I can create anything. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Okay, so peel things back a little bit more if you can. If you can't, stay with it. It's fine. Okay, I feel strength, or I feel courage, or I feel this. Fine, you can circulate it, but keep them in the unconditional quality of it, or the actually better, the timeless quality of it. Now, what we'll want to do, let's take that bulldozer energy. It's perpetual motion. It's a limitless motion, limitless energy. All right. That feels cold and electric and stimulating. All right. Allow that energy now to go down into your feet and back into the center of your stomach. And do that a few times. Follow the energy as opposed to forcing or trying to move the energy. Just follow it. Center, feet, center. And then allow it to rise to your head and back to the center, and do that a few times. This is so that they get used to allowing the energy to move. And what it's doing is it's nurturing all the cells in their body, basically. Okay, allow this energy to stimulate or feed all those cells in your body, from center, feet, center, center, head, center. Then they can do the whole loop, and that gets their whole body activated with this energy. Usually I go to the feet because it's grounding. Other people, maybe it's naturally rising to the head. Fine, let it go there. But at least you want to divide this loop in half. You want to work one side and then the other side, either the top half or the bottom half. Then let them run the full loop. Center, feet, center, head, center. And again, so that it's circulating. Now that's going to get their body activated. Now you can do a second phase, go larger and say, all right, now let it go to your feet and keep going down deep into the earth, and it spreads out. And naturally it will come back and come back to center. Notice what it's bringing you from the earth when it comes back. Now, usually the response I get is, I feel grounded, I feel rooted, or I feel replenished, or I'm receiving nutrients. It's these common earth themes, okay? Then I could say, now let it go from center to your head, and it keeps going and it spreads up into the sky, around everywhere, or you could say universe, depending on their beliefs. And then again, naturally, it comes back and makes its way back to your center, naturally. And then you could do that a few times. Center to sky to center. Notice what you're receiving when the energy comes back to center. Here, common responses might be clarity, lightness, wisdom, inspiration. Very universe-oriented or light-oriented words. Now, why do I say naturally? it would come back naturally from the earth. It would come back naturally from the sky. Because very once in a while, rarely, but sometimes the client might freak out and say, oh, but I'm going to lose the energy. I don't want to give it to the earth. I don't want to give it to the sky. No. It's magnetized to your center. It always comes back like a boomerang. That's all I need to say. It's just, it naturally goes out, spreads out, and then comes back like a breath out and a breath in. It always comes back to center. That's reassuring to them. And that's another reason why I do their feet first, so they'll get that reassurance and certainty by feeling grounded, okay? And then we can circulate that whole loop. Center, earth, center, sky, center. What this does is it gives them a larger context, that they're, meaning I'm in a place, I'm in an environment that has an earth and a sky, I'm supported, and there's a firmament above me, and that this energy flows all around me. And at that point, maybe up until now, you've been doing this work with their eyes closed, or if you've been doing it with yourself, it's with your eyes closed. Once you're circulating that large loop, open your eyes and look around as that energy is circulating. You don't want this to be a purely internal experience. It needs to be external as well, because then the next phase is, once we've charged up what I call this vertical loop, they're going to want to share that energy, give it or expend it or send it out or contribute. That's a natural horizontal motion of the energy. That's where they want to do the send and the receive. In the next webinar, I'm going to focus purely on that. What's the sending and receiving of relationship? Because that's what's going to, or of energy, because that's going to replenish your relationships. It's going to invigorate your actions, all your activities, because now that you've got this vital, resilient energy flowing through you, it now is going to start flowing outward and back in, and outward and back in. And that's what it looks, oh, no. I'll skip ahead here and I'll come back to the second. That's what this looks like, the horizontal. They're giving in, and then the recipient receives, and then the recipient gives, and then they receive. So that could be done in relationship. It could be done with an event. It could be done with a place or anything out there in the world, okay? And that we'll focus on in the next one. That's the flow of resilience. We activate the vertical, then we can do the horizontal. How is this looking and sounding to you right now? Any questions or comments here? Yeah, that works? Okay. Come to next week's webinar and we'll look at this picture in much more detail and what you can do with it. Okay, because this will affect relationships, actions, sense of purpose. Okay. Now, how do you sustain it? So this resilience loop has 4 main aspects to it. There's a letting go portion where I'm allowing energy to drain into the earth. What am I letting go of? That's usually my fear, stress, resistance, anxiety. Just let that drain out. Then what am I taking in or taking on? That could be the energy itself, or even include what's coming from the earth. That will nurture my well-being. It feeds me. And then as it rises up and I give it out to the universe, it's a giving. What am I giving? And it's usually that pure quality, the bulldozer energy, or it could be love, or whatever is the quality, general quality I'm experiencing. It's so charged up in me, I can afford to give it, all right? And then what am I receiving? Inspiration. It's like another layer of, let's say, clarity or wisdom or creativity or anything. And then I take that into my center, and then anything left over, I can let it go. And then I'm fed again, and then I can give that again, and I receive it again. And this is a counterbalancing of my energies, which creates a perpetual motion. And this is so important so that I'm not burning myself out, so that I'm not criticizing myself, I'm not punishing myself, I'm not feeling desperate to hold on and cling to this energy. I can freely give it, I can freely let other things go, I can freely take things in, I can freely receive. That is in a resilient capacity. most important is, as I do this, as I circulate this, what am I enjoying? And that sustains the connection to the energy and to the experience. Now, if they reactivate this later, okay, I'll start with that bulldozer energy. I remember it was in my stomach. It was a cold electric energy. It's kind of not so intense as it was before. Well, go with what is here, even if it is a little bit of that energy, and notice what is here. Well, it's not so cold this time. It's actually kind of warm and fuzzy. Great, go with that. Go with what is and enjoy it instead of trying to compare it to the last time, okay? So when we reactivate these energies from time to time, they're gonna have different levels of intensity. Don't expect the same result all the time. Go with what does show up. This is why when we're anchoring, give it a name, give it a gesture, give it some handles, all right? So that it can come back at the snap of a finger. As they circulate and they enjoy the circulation, and it's gonna evolve as it circulates, what really sustains the resilience is, how am I still perfectly okay? Or how am I perfectly okay here? And that is the reassurance, and that again feeds back to the well-being. And we'll look at this also next week, in that you can do the same thing with relationships. When you're in relationship with somebody, you can use these qualities to see them differently. And in fact, they'll start taking on those qualities as a mirrored effect. And this is what we call an endowment, right? So you can actually influence your relationship. But here you're endowing yourself, you're influencing yourself to charge up or circulate this essential quality within yourself that gives you the vitality and the resilience. And it's a reminder of, yeah, I am permanent, timeless, and I'm perfectly okay, and I can create. Comments here? All good, all okay. I'm hoping that this is practical. I'm hoping this is understandable, that it's not too esoteric. I know we're dealing with subtle energies. But even just those 5 questions, what am I letting go of? What am I taking on? What am I giving? What am I receiving? And what am I enjoying as I do all of that? That's great for promoting mental, physical, emotional health, okay? That is because they counterbalance each other and they create a flow. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a summary. I'm going to stop the recording, and then for those who wish to hang on, I'll then start a new recording and we'll go into the 10 essential qualities. Resilience can be built from any energy that sparks up. Remember that energy is vitality. So don't go into judging whether an energy is good or bad. It's all vitality. And when you run into resistance, remember that it is resilience. So look at the energy it takes to resist. Don't look at what they're resisting or what you are resisting. Look at the energy you're using to resist, and that will lead you to resilience. Whenever working with an energetic experience, focus on the pure energy. See it as a strength and link it back to well-being. That eventually moves us into enjoyment of the pure energy, okay? Don't focus on the drama of the energy. Don't focus on the judgments we have around the energy. Just what's the pure energy? What's the pure sensation? See it as a strength, link it to well-being, and very quickly, it will feel like a strength. The 4 main essential qualities that we run into are peace, love, unity, limitlessness, and in the next part, I'll show you the variations of those. Remember that these are self-generating, self-perpetuating, and unconditional. So you're moving into a realm of timelessness and permanence. If you want to peel things back to an essential quality, dial back any urge to act or create. You want to dial back the active part of the energy and just arrive at pure essential being, the state before action. As you feed that pure being back to well-being, that's your vital energy. Anchor that in a body center with a sensation. The center can be anywhere, wherever you feel like it's the center, or wherever the client feels that's the center. I've had it at the top of the head, I've had it in the palms of their hands. Usually it's the solar plexus or somewhere in the mid-torso. It could even be their feet. Doesn't matter. The more essential they become, the more it actually arrives around the solar plexus. I've had it where I've started circulating the loop. They said the center's in my forehead. Fine. Let's go down to the feet, back up. Now let's go even up to the head and back. They said, well, it moved. Where'd it go? Oh, it's in my chest. Okay. It always ends up, the more connected they become with their essence, it usually centers itself around the solar plexus. Don't worry about where it's starting from. Always circulate vertically first, then radiate outward. A lot of people will feel this exciting energy and they'll say, oh my God, this is possible and that's possible and I can do this and I can do that and I'm gonna go run out in the street right now. Well, before you do that, circulate it first within yourself so you're doing an inner loop of send and receive to yourself. Again, that creates that perpetual motion of well-being within themselves. It creates perpetual vitality. And no matter what happens, be grounded in the enjoyment of the moment. Don't focus on judging the moment. Enjoy the moment. It is what it is. Find the sensations that you enjoy. And the more you focus on the enjoyment, the more connected you become, the more essential you become. Okay. How are you guys with that? All good? Okay. Our courses, Module 1, 2, and 3 are all about building resilience. Module 1 gives you the foundational skills. Module 2 works with strong resistance. Module 3 reconciles ego and essence together. Our conflict course applies these essentials with power games, how to dissolve them. This has a lot to do with working with those patterns and dynamics. And then our facilitation course moves this on to the level of leadership, working with multiple dynamics, teams, because you have so many complexities. How do you simplify that and find the simple patterns happening in the group? We will run an online version of Module 1, April 24th to 26th. This will be a pilot version. So if you're interested, please contact me, troy@essence-dynamics.com. Because you can become part of that. And I'm giving a great price on that because it's a pilot version. 3 days worth, it's an intensive. It's about 6 hours a day. We'll do a morning session, afternoon session online through Zoom. Otherwise, we have the in-person sessions coming up in June and October. Now, don't know how things are going to be happening for June right now, the way things are going. Don't know if we can do our in-person courses. Otherwise, that one will also be online. I'm hoping by October we'll be back to in-person trainings. Anyways, good thing. I mean, we're adaptable. So we're doing these things online now. So, you know, you can still learn EED. Anyways, if you're interested, contact me. Our next webinar is the Essentials of Healthy Relationship. You can register through our webinar registration page on Eventbrite, EED webinars. And that's going to focus on that horizontal loop and how we can apply that to relationships and taking action in the world. Anything final that you guys want to say here for this part? I'll stop the recording and then I'll restart it for the essential qualities. What do you walk away with here or take away? Any comments or anything to say?
So
I think.
Okay.
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
Go, Regina, you go first.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I think that the possibility to use any kind of energy to reconnect our clients with the resilience is amazing, and it's something I'm reflecting on. And also the question that you shared are really powerful.
The sample questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are really simple, but really powerful, especially in this very moment.
Great. Yeah. And, you know, the simpler they are, the more basic they become. you know, essential questions are extremely simple. Not so obvious because we love complexity, but yeah, this really brings us back to basics. Yeah, so great. Yes. And, you know, you're going to get the recording and then you can always replay and note those questions or screen capture them. And verbally, the questions I was making up to give you variations, note those as well. Niru, how about for you?
Yeah. So thank you so much. This, you know, like last week's webinar, this one also is very, very useful. And I think it's given me an immediate tool to use with my clients. What I love about it is actually, you know, from any of the tools that I've learned before, as you know, I'm a coactive coach, you know, you were
Yes.
one of my supervisors.
Yeah.
And I think it just takes it to a much deeper level. And so I love it. I love the simplicity of it. And I love, you know, the essential quality. So you know, this really, it was a light bulb for me, you know, to kind of realize that, you know, trust and courageousness is not the essential quality because it depends on something else. So there's somewhere to be even deeper than that. So so I found that very useful. And, you know, I echo what Irina said, which is that the questions are super helpful. So just kind of looking at it and, you know, asking the same tools again and again to go even deeper. But it's a brilliant model. So thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I'm glad you appreciate it. Please practice these things, put them into practice. Always feel free to email me with comments or questions.
Yes.
To move it further. And then in the modules, we give you lots more variation, and because I'm trying to give you a straightforward template. It's really basic. There could be a million variations around it. And that's what we focus on during the modules as well, where you get supervision and practice, etc. But this you can run with your imagination, and it's simple enough. Okay, thank you all. And thank you all for listening to the recording. I'm going to stop it and then restart it, and we'll look at the 10 essential qualities. So I hope you join us for that as well. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy.